Rolling. Okay.
Hello.
Is it recording? Is it rolling right now?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Okay, hi guys. This is Brandon.
Hi.
Hi. So, I've known Brandon since college. Went to USC together. He was my pledged educator when I was rushing for our business fraternity. And since then, I felt like he was you're going down like a pretty corporate-y path in college.
Somewhat in entertainment and sports.
Yeah, and then afterwards he just completely diverted to teaching and education. So I thought he would be a great person to bring on to talk about, the path that he's on now, how he got to where he is today, and where he wants to go in the future. And so, Brandon, can you please share with us a little bit about your background and what you did and where you are now?
Yeah, so my very first internship was inside sales with the LA Clippers.
Oh.
So that was the year that they drafted Blake Griffin, and that's like a sales team's dream to be able to market an athlete like him. And so that was wonderful. It was really eye-opening to see how a team that was at the bottom of the standings, you're trying to essentially generate demand, and it's a hard job. After that, worked for a sports agency called Wasserman, where we marketed and did all of that sort of branding for athletes like Westbrook, Gasol, did a little bit of investment banking specifically for sports transactions, and eventually ended up getting my dream job with the Lakers. It was awesome. It was the very last year that they made the playoffs, so some great times. Exactly. That's sort of the other side of the spectrum of trying to generate demand for a team that has endless demand.
And then from there, you graduated TFA?
Exactly. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to pursue a career in sort of legal counsel at a sports team, sports org, and Teacher America was a fantastic thing to have on your resume. And
so how did you go from this very sporty, what was your thought process going from the background that you were working at? Because it seemed like you're going down this one very specific particular path. You're like, teaching.
Yeah, I think it was mainly the professional development opportunities. Very, very mission-driven organization that was really attractive to me. And ironically, being pledge master of a fraternity and sort of the position that you're in as far as coaching people, looking out for them, exactly, fostering growth and mentoring them was something that I found to be really, really rewarding. Yeah, the TFA really seems like a good transition to the real world application of that. Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know what TFA is, could you give us a really quick?
Yeah, Teacher America is an organization that basically works with schools in low-income communities and essentially recruits mainly from universities, but also from people that have already been working to get them to essentially commit 2 years to taking up a subject in elementary, middle school, or high school, or in my case, early childhood education, and spending 2 years teaching.
So how does that tie into what you're doing now at AltSchool? And what is AltSchool?
Yeah, so AltSchool is we're a growing network of private K-8 schools in San Francisco, Palo Alto, and New York, with the mission of really rethinking what a 21st century education should look like. I think when you look at our education system now, it's quite similar to what it was 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and that's fine, but the jobs nowadays require very different skills and very different tools that I think our schools could certainly improve a lot on. And so for us, in thinking about, okay, what are the skills and the traits that we want to engender in our students, looking ahead to, we always talk about
what are those traits that you guys are looking for?
So I think to sort of distill it down, it's everything from being able to be entrepreneurial in a sense, to be able to go into teams, projects, organizations, and having that sense of agency to figure out where are the existing problems, where are the areas for improvement, and how can I best use my skill set or work with others to move the organization along. I think another one is sort of in line with that is being able to work well with others and having that sense of conscientiousness is how we sort of think about it. It's fantastic if you have the skills and you're really great at executing, but if you don't have that other,
like the soft skills to talk to people,
if you don't have that EQ to really help make those around you better, then I don't think you'll be very successful either.
Yeah.
And so it's a balance of both of those things, and both of those are quite amorphous qualities.
Yeah.
Difficult to measure, particularly with the sort of standards that are prevalent in our school systems today.
So for you now, where you are today,
Yeah.
at AltSchool in San Francisco, how do you feel now, just being where you are?
I feel happy. I feel great.
Tell us more about it.
I feel excited to go to work every day in a place that I feel challenged in, that I feel supported in, that I get to work with people that I admire, people that I genuinely care about and enjoy being around, people that are aligned in this mission that we have to enable all kids to reach their full potential. I feel really, really, really fortunate. Yeah.
So at work you hang out mostly with older people.
Yeah.
Can you give us like a little bit of a, like, what's like the general demographic of the people who are at AltSchool and your thoughts? And
I think one of the really cool things about AltSchool is that we have a team it feels like the dream team of who you would want to be working on a problem like this. And as I feel one of the younger employees there, it's like a treasure trove of like mentors and coaches and people who have years and years of experience in their respective profession, whether it's BD or engineering or teaching or even like higher ed. And so to still be able to sit down with some of our educators who've been in this industry for decades, to be able to sit down with some engineers who've built some really, really amazing products at these other fantastic tech companies. It's this level of access to really brilliant people that, yeah, I just feel really fortunate to have access to. There's definitely the feeling of how am I going to live up to this really high bar that's prevalent everywhere in the organization.
Yeah.
And I think, again, I was really lucky to have people who were there to basically empower me, like, we brought you on for a reason, you're fully capable of doing this job, and really sort of holding you to this expectation. And I think
while also helping you and giving you all the tools.
Exactly. And so it eventually made sense, like, this is exactly the type of org that I wanted to be in. I shouldn't be timid or shy now that I have this opportunity to be in this role that was incredibly exciting. And so to feel empowered to just run wild and to excel was something that was quite easy to like, grow into.
Yeah. I feel like that's very you too.
Yeah.
What you are best at.
I really
taking something and running with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like we got to know professional Brandon a good amount, what he does, where he is today. Let's talk a little bit more about, let's get to know you a little more. So I feel like when we first met, as we all were in college, lost, trying to figure out ourselves, trying to find ourselves, trying to figure out what it is that we want to do, professional, personally, who we are, what we want. And I feel like the most recent times we've hung out, when I visited San Francisco, you just seem at a much more like calm and like, I don't know, just seem at a much better place just overall as a person. Can you kind of walk us through, like, did something happen for you to be like, all right, I want to like be a better person, or I want to be happy, did something happen for it to be like, all right, like a moment?
Yeah, I think it's a part of a longer sort of arc that's been happening. With the times when you've come and we've hung out, it's sort of the further stages of steps that I've been taking from graduation.
So we didn't see each other for about like 2-3 years?
Yeah, I think like during the time that I was teaching,
like,
we didn't really see each other because you were still in school.
I was still in school and I went to New York.
Yeah.
And I came back and then we reconnected. So just context.
And so being a teacher really makes you grow up and mature really quickly. Let alone, I think I was 21 when I started teaching. And so being responsible for a class of 24, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds makes you kind of get your shit together. And so during that time also, that was when I started reading a lot. It's when I started meditating more, getting into mindfulness, really taking in like my nutrition under control, health a lot more seriously. and it just becomes a part of what you do every single day, your habits. And so when I moved here, both LA and San Francisco have communities of people that are all about that. And it was sort of emphasized a bit more because the organization that I was with also consisted of people who valued those things. And as long as you continue to surround yourself with people that really value the same things as you do, it sort of ups your game. And yeah, I think what you saw is just sort of the continued growth over time. Yeah.
I like that. See, I think as with most of these things, like trying to figure out your path, trying to find your path, it's not like a oh, you wake up one day, you're like, I know it. It's an ongoing, continual process that I feel like definitely when I was younger, I was a little naive and just unaware. I just thought, there will be this moment when I find my purpose or my passion and like everything else will just kind of fall in place. But now it's like a continual journey of it's never gonna end.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that you have to be deliberate about every single day. It's something that you have to put effort into every single day. And for a very long time, very little you're not just gonna wake up one day and get to this level that you want to be at. You just sort of have to trust that by doing the right things each and every day, being consistent, that ultimately it will lead you to a place that it'll match what you had in mind, maybe it won't. And sometimes when it doesn't match what you had in mind, it's actually even better than what you thought you wanted.
Okay, so you mentioned books, been reading a lot, podcasts.
Sure.
What are a couple of your favorite books of all time?
Favorite books of all time? Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And most recently, the life-changing magic of tidying up. It's a fantastic read. I love that book.
Have you been packing up your stuff and
oh yeah,
getting rid of things?
Yes, it's great.
So many of my friends, after they read the book, they give away a bunch of stuff. They're like, I don't know why I threw away all those things. I want them back now.
What? Really?
Yeah, I think sometimes you get so you're like, yeah, this is the right thing to do, and then you commit to it, and you're like, But I feel like for you, just letting
for me, I
go.
put the book down as I was reading it. Yeah. I was so inspired. I probably had to pick the book back up more than a dozen times because I would just read half a chapter, get inspired, go clean stuff out, and then get back to it, and then read a little bit more, and then go. You're not supposed to do that. The book recommends it. Read the book and then get all your things in a pile.
That's what I did. I read probably 20-30%. I was like, I think I got the thing. I'm just gonna get rid of stuff.
In the first two chapters, you're like, okay, I get the premise of it, and just go do it. Yeah. So you should read it all the way through. It's a great book.
You should. Yeah, I should finish it. Okay, so I feel like the first two books you recommended were more stoicism or super philosophical.
Meditations for sure. Yeah. I think Man's Search for Meaning, it's somewhat. It's not all the way stoic, but I think that's just one of. I feel like everyone should read that book.
Give a 1-2 sentence synopsis, or how? Okay, better question. How did this book? What was your biggest takeaway from this book that you actually applied to your day-to-day life?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is that circumstances out of your control can essentially take away everything that you value or that you cherish from you. In Victor's case, he was a member. He had to go through the Holocaust, which is I can't even fathom how terrifying and how do you make meaning out of that?
Yeah.
And he somehow found a way to do that. He somehow found a way to extract value and meaning and purpose from going through this horrific thing.
Yeah.
And bottom line, I don't care what you're going through, if it's just so inspirational to read his story and understand that the mindset that he had to survive, and not only survive but thrive after that. And it really puts into perspective anything that
we go through on a daily basis.
Exactly.
It's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. What does success mean to you?
I think being able to wake up and go through your day and spend your time with people that you feel make you a better person, that you feel challenge you, that you feel make you grow and become closer to the type of person that you want to be, while also doing something with your life that you feel that you can really add value to, that you find personally fulfilling. It just also brings you joy.
Yeah.
And being able to do that day in and day out, being able to go through your day, be with people that you love and care for, doing something that you love and care for.
So let's say you're living out this perfect day or this successful day of yours. Just by nature of life happening, you will have days or you will have weeks that just aren't as awesome as the rest of your weeks. How do you kind of find a balance between, just how do you maintain peace within yourself despite chaos outside, external forces?
Yeah. Well, external forces, that's exactly right out of sort of Viktor Frankl's playbook of external forces can take things away from you. And it's how you choose to react to what happens to you that I think determines your happiness, also reveals your character. And a couple things is, you surround yourself with people who have the type of character and the type of resilience that you sort of wish to have in yourself. And I think also in a lot of the Stoic sort of writings that we've talked about, there's this idea of having the awareness that when things are really great, it's fine to enjoy it, and you should enjoy it, but to also realize that it's not going to last forever. It's not just a permanent state of bliss.
It's all temporary.
And when things are not so great, to realize that it's not going to be permanently terrible either, and that there are ways to regain that perspective, to bring yourself out of the times when you're not feeling so great about your life. And they talk about this idea of the inner citadel, which is something that you are constantly reinforcing when times are really good and when times are you're going through challenging times. And I think for me, it's certainly something that I draw on all the time. I think specifically this idea of gratitude it's a really, really powerful tool when you're feeling like life is conspiring against you and like nobody wants me to succeed.
Everyone is out to get me.
Like, nothing's going my way. It's a habit to continue to think about the things that it's easy to overlook. I think our mind likes to look at the things that we don't have. Things that we perceive to be problems with our lives, and essentially identify ourselves with it. Pulling out of sort of Eckhart Tolle's playbook on that, I think that's the way that our minds like to work. We always like to focus on what we don't have.
Things that bring us pain, things that we don't have, things that other people have that we want.
Yeah, and the more that you're able to step out of that and recognize that that's what you're doing, I think that's a really powerful first step, is to realize that you aren't the things that you don't have, or the things that what you perceive about yourself to not be good enough at. And to really shift and look at all of the things that what's a good way to put this? I think to think about the things that you have and to think about where you were in your life maybe like 5 years ago, when that person might have been like, oh, like that's what my life is gonna be like in 5 years. Like that's amazing. Like I think a good example would have been like when I was sort of in the doldrums and teaching. If you told me like, hey, like Brandon, in a couple of years you're gonna be living in San Francisco and you're gonna be with these people, I'm like, oh my god, that's great. And then like, when I have tough weeks, I'm feeling bad.
You think of that person.
Yeah, I think of that person. Like, no, my life's great. This is awesome. And again, like a lot of the things that we had talked about, you have to force yourself to think about those things and practice that gratitude.
It's like a muscle memory that you have to train, just like how we all go work out.
Yeah,
we should.
Exactly.
Okay, shift gears a little.
Okay.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would that be? Up to you.
I think going back to our conversation a couple days ago, even as recently as college, you don't have to plan out all of your day, but I think there's a lot of downtime that you have in college as a college student that it's quite easy to, number one, you should feel free to just be a college kid and not do anything. But I think looking back on it now, there were so many opportunities there that were so unique to being in college, where there was access to resources on campus, events that were going on, or even making more of an effort to get to know people. I think college is such a unique sort of time in your life where
everyone lives down the street from each other.
You're just surrounded by people that are your age. and that obviously value
All
similar
more or less
things.
have time too.
More or less have time. We're more or less pretty driven people
Yeah.
to be in college, and you guys are all figuring stuff out. And I think there was a lot of times where I was just hanging out and like binge watching TV
Netflix.
shows, or like, why the hell was I doing that in college? So I think I would tell that person to, you know, it's fine to have fun, but
Lighten up a little.
lighten up a little, make the most of, you know, your social surroundings. I think at that time I was really focused on my career, and so it's hard to say that I wouldn't want myself to do that, because it's the way that things have played out. I'm quite happy,
Yeah.
but I think that's obviously something I'm trying to do a lot more of now. It's being a lot more deliberate with who I'm spending my time with and the things that I'm doing in the sort of unstructured blocks of time that I have. And I think also to that 20-something or late teens
Yeah.
person all the way through to now is to really enjoy the process of whatever it is that you're going through, and to try and not let things get you down that much. And at that time I probably would have really understood that advice.
What does that mean?
Yeah, and I'm sure now when I receive advice from people, I'm sure it'll make a lot more sense to me maybe 3 years from now too. I think that just tends to be the case with all types of advice.
Yeah.
So that's what I would tell them, tell him. I hope he would listen. And yeah, but even if he doesn't, it's fine. It'll be fine.
Get it out there.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
It'll be okay.
That's another thing. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. What do you want to leave with the viewers? If there's one thing you can share.
I would say, good question. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. I think a really good takeaway would be to...
So much pressure.
There's like so many things that I want to say.
What comes to mind first? Like when I first asked a question, what was the first thing that you're like, oh?
I think the first thing that came to mind was, because maybe this is just, we were talking about it, is to just practice more gratitude, is to be really thankful for your circumstances in life, both the good ones and the bad ones, to try and extract the learnings that you can out of the sad times, and to look at the really difficult times in your life and realize how they were pretty crucial and vital to the person that you are today, and to really be able to extract how that can essentially be like your advantage and your edge. I think that's a really powerful thing to be able to do, because I think no matter who you talk to, everyone has something that they're carrying with them. Everyone has an experience that weighs on them, and that a lot of the happiest people and the most successful people that I know have really figured out a way to make that not a weight, but something that becomes almost like momentum
That
for
like
them.
propels them forward.
Yeah, it's not something that sort of holds them back, it's something that really pushes them forward. And for me, I always really look up to people who are able to rise above adverse circumstances. Like that's something that I'm fascinated by. So that's what I would say, is try to figure out what that is about, you know, who you are, and really think about why that is something that makes you a better person. Because I think to be happy in life, it's making those slight paradigm shifts about everything that's going on, the narrative and the story that you keep telling yourself.
Looking at the same problem from all different perspectives.
Yeah. And I think once you find a perspective where it serves you, not that it's something that brings you down, but it's something that really works for you, I think that's like a pretty good secret to know, because I don't think a lot of people do that.
Alright, let's roam around.
Yeah.